All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the PGA Show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. We got the U.S. Open, the third major, my favorite major, Hoopster. I know everybody loves the Masters. Some love the PGA Championship. Some love the Open. I like the U.S. Open. What else is new for the Canadian guy? Always cheering for the U.S. side. But what's going on, Hoopster? How you doing, man? Got a fun one ahead.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. I mean, obviously, it's no secret. This course is going to be very, very difficult. I mean, very difficult. Makes it fun to watch. Makes it fun if you have a sweat. I mean, just everything about it is enjoyable. Finishes on Father's Day, which is nice. And the one thing I do like, a lot of times when you're playing at these courses, they try to make it seem like every single course is tough and difficult. And you're going here and the rough is 7 inches long and they're not going to cut it and they're going to continue to water it. And then these guys get out there and they just like blow it apart and dominate. Here that is not going to be the case. It's very difficult, very, very difficult test. And I think it's definitely that part of it is applicable to how we go about building our teams this week. And we'll walk through, we'll build some teams and talk about it. But the difficulty of this course, I think, presents a different sort of dynamic when it comes to roster construction and probably a different way you should be looking to build your teams, in my opinion. I'll give you my thoughts as we go on, but either way, prize pools are massive. It's a very fun event, and can't wait to talk through it here with you.
Hey, I got a lot of good feedback on last week's show. We didn't even really go the tiers last week, and that's what's different about our show. We talk about this every week, but we're focused on winning DFS tournaments. We're focused on building the lineups accordingly, and we got some interesting stuff this week. $14,400, Scotty Scheffler, and then we got the 5K range back. There is something, a little caveat to the 14-4 Scotty, which we'll definitely talk more about, but hopefully we've got a lot to celebrate. This Sunday, like you said, it is Father's Day. There's some Millie Makers out there. I would love to win my first ever Millie Maker on a Father's Day Sunday at my favorite major of the year. That would be amazing. But we got a little more to celebrate this week, and I'm going to give you guys an update. We do have the celebration stream. So we're going to be celebrating the life of our friend DGen75, James, and it's going to be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. in the Lord's time zone, the same time James would have hosted his emergency stream. And it's what it says. It's memories, it's stories, it's joy, community. Everybody is welcome from all across the industry. We'll have it right here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station, just like he'd be here if he was here with us. And we're going to have some fun with it. We've got an amazing tribute video that you won't want to miss. The team behind Editor, Monday, Bill, those guys working their ass off just to get an amazing video out. I did see a preview of it. It's going to get you guys. It's really solid. It got me, and it's certainly one to be there for. So tomorrow night, if you can be there. If you haven't seen yet, you can go over to my X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at ToeTagginTambo. We just hit over $25,000 with donations to the GoFundMe. So I think it should be a lot more, but everyone can only give what they can give. We do appreciate everything. But I will say, shout out to our guy, B-Wald. He said, this was one of his favorite tournaments. Instead of trying to win the $10 18 max this week, a.k.a. the big guys tournament, that was his baby, as he called it. I thought I'd let James win instead and donate that $180 to his GoFundMe page. So I really like that idea. Again, not everybody can do that, not expecting that, but just saying anything you guys can do to honor James, just being there tomorrow is enough as well. But I really like that from B-Wald. So certainly appreciate that. Hoop, anything you want to add? You and I will both be here hosting it. I know there's been a couple of people that stepped up that want to come on and speak. We will see them, and I'll connect with them today just to make sure we're dialed in for that. If anybody else has any kind words they want to say about James tomorrow, hit me up, send me a DM, whatever it might be. We'll be able to get you on the show and in there to speak your piece.
Yeah, definitely hit us up if you want to come on and chat. Obviously very, sad situation. And then like you talked about, we got the YouTube video, but we wanted to definitely try to make it a little more like upbeat and in honor of James. Like if he's looking down on us, he does not want us the night before the US Open on a stream crying in his honor. He wants us on there talking shit about some of these golfers and whatnot. So got the video in honor of him, but we're gonna try to have a little fun with it as well in honor of him, knowing that that's how he'd want us to do it, man. You know that he definitely would want us to have some fun and talk shit about some of these golfers.
I'm going to do my best. Yes. And I know that is what he would want, but I'll do my best. But it's certainly, it's not, I guess, Hoop said it best last time. I appreciate everybody that's reached out, all the kind words, but just, in general, not something you can ever plan for, not something you can know how to be ready for, to adapt for, to create a celebration stream and come up with all the stuff, the things we're looking to do to honor James and all that. It's a lot that goes into it, but he was more than worth it. And we're excited to continue to live on with his legacy and bring it forward here, making sure everybody's taken care of and focus on the community. So catch us here tomorrow night. We'll be there for it. You can check it out. If you can't make it live, no problem. It'll be there. You'll be able to check it out. It's dedicated to James. It's not going to be focused on the golf as much, but definitely going to be talking about some of these losers like Rory McIlroy, which we'll talk about for this one tomorrow. Shalhoub says he'll hit me up. We certainly appreciate you, my friend. Lots of good people in here already saying they're excited for it. So thank you guys for checking this out.
I did just want to hit the Splash Sports thing while we're talking about it. We'll hit it here in the open opposed to the end. There you go. You got me. So
that's a good point. Yeah, there's going to be a huge donation coming from this guarantee as well. This will put it to 37,000 and change right now is what we'll get up to once this fills, because this is guaranteed. There's already 32 in it, but this is a way you can do a little bit of both. You could support James supporting yourself and maybe winning this thing for $2,500, even structure, rake free. Anything else you want to add there, Hoop?
Yeah. I mean, so half the entry fees obviously go to the GoFundMe that we are running, but it's nice of Splash Sports to go ahead and put this out. We'd definitely like to fill it up right now. There's only 32 out of 250, so a little push here would be very helpful. $100 to enter, and then you have a chance to win 2,500, and it's a very, very flat payout structure. It's the tier format as well, which we've talked about here on the show, which if you're playing on some other sites, it's obviously a little bit different. So we definitely appreciate your support in filling up this contest as well.
Yeah. And if we get any more details about anything else, we'll keep you guys in the loop. But for right now, let's get into the US Open here, Hoopster. And I kicked it off the top. So there is some thoughts quickly just on, the generalities of it, without obviously our guy, Luke. We'll have a stream this week. You'll be able to look at the final weather with him. He'll be able to show everything when it relates to that stuff. But just outside of that, the 14-4 Scotty, did you look deep? Like, did you do a deep dive on this? There's only 4 guys in the 9K range. There's only 5 guys in the 8K range. And we do the tier rankings over at SHIPIT Nation, and it's pretty tight. Like, who's your top 4 in the 9K range? Oh, I'm just counting the order of the only 4 guys in the 9K range. But what's your thoughts on this pricing and how they did it? Because you've talked about this a ton in the past.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I want to see the aggressive price tags on guys that deserve the high price tags, and Scotty definitely deserves the high price tag. I mean, he's the safest guy on the PGA Tour, which was verified last week when Rory finished basically dead last at the Canadian Open, just playing like complete shit. Just looks like a little bitch on the course too. Like when he's not playing well, I don't know. Like I've never been a huge fan of his. Like, I can't go and take questions after because I had a bad round. Like, dude, and that, like, he talks out of both sides of his mouth. I mean, I don't want to go on a full Rory rant here, but like saying that the PGA Tour golfers need to do a better job of putting themselves out there and being more relatable. But then you play bad for a round or two and your ass can't show up and answer questions. Like, get out of here, man. He's a little bitch, and he proved it last week. But Scotty at 14-4 deserves it. I can't remember why I went into because to show that Scotty's the safest with the most upside. Scotty's not ever having that performance at the Canadian Open. Never. I mean, I don't know how many rounds of golf it would take or how many events it would take before Scotty would have an event like that. Something crazy would have to happen where he had the shits and cut his hand again or something where he misses the cut and finishes dead last at the Canadian Open. So Scotty deserves the price at 14-4, but it's not going to stop people from playing the 14-4 price tag. Like if you go, you see we obviously have the 5K range, and there's a lot of bad guys in the 5K range, but if you can find a couple you like, and just a quick example, if you go Scotty into 5.8K guy, you're back to 74,500 or 7450 for your other 4 spots. Like, you can definitely make it work. There's a lot of guys in the 6K range. So to me, the number is irrelevant, to be honest with you, once I start going through and building out teams, because it's just super easy to still play him, and the ownership's going to be up there. It's not like because he's 14-4 that he's now going to be 10% owned. Like, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, I like it. It needs to be here. I'm happy it's here, because if it was any lower, he'd be like massively owned, but he's still going to be pretty massively owned because of how easy it is to play him.
Yeah, they just screwed it up. Like, to me, I'm not happy with it because I think it's just ruined it. Everything they did right at the top with Scotty was ruined by what they did with the 8 and 9K, because you said it best last time. When you add the 5K, it's not about the 5K. People that go start digging for 5K, diamond in the roughs, that's the worst play. Like, it's not even, there's very rarely going to be anybody in the 5Ks that matter. This week, shout out Chris Goddard up at $5,400. We'll get like 3 to 5%, maybe more, because people want to play that. That's fine. Or Matt McCarty off a good week, whatever. But my point being, it's more what it does, and you've always said this, it's what it does to the 6Ks. Now you're adding Taylor Pendrith at 6,500, Adam Scott, 6,600, Spawn, 6,700. All those guys that are in the 7Ks usually are now down in the 6s. Justin Rose, 6,900, Berger, 6,800, Siwoo, 69. Doesn't mean they're the best plays. I'm saying now you extrapolate that, it goes to the 7s. Now Sepp Straka is 7,700. Lowry is 78. You defeated what you did to Scotty by doing all that up the mid. You should have let the 8s be 15 guys still, or whatever. 12.
So basically what they did by putting Scotty at 14-4, they eliminated the 9 and the 8K range for the most part, right? And then the 5K guys are all irrelevant. So then you just look in the 7s and the 6s, and it's just a ton of guys that are very, very viable. Like, some of those 7K guys need to be 8K. Some of these 6K guys need to be 7K. So it was like a negative effect where it almost makes some of these salaries just completely irrelevant. It like just really doesn't matter. Like, you look at the number of Scotty at 14-4, and it doesn't matter that he's 14-4. It's still super easy to play him because all these guys are in the 7s and the 6Ks.
Yeah, there is some price discrepancies too. Like, again, Bryson at 11K, that's you're looking at $3,400 less than Scotty for Bryson here, and obviously he's playing quite well. You could see him be in the mix just as much. So I think it's interesting. We'll see how it all shakes out. It looks like him and Scotty will be up there. Ryan is certainly correct. Where's EBR on the pricing here, Ryan? Let's check it out. 6,100. Disrespectful. Wow. The guy that can creep his way up the board at just $6,100. But I guess it just makes it so that like Scotty can fit still, no problem. And I think people take it the wrong way. Like, I'm not even bitching about that. They did the right thing, making him 14-4. I wanted to see it where you have to think about it. You don't even have to think right now. No. It doesn't mean he's going to win. Doesn't mean you should play him in all your lineups. So this is just overview of how we're thinking about it. My grand scheme overview, like I've always classified it as, is that it makes it so you don't even have to think. The Scotty price that would shock you when you first see it, that shock factor goes away quickly when you go to the bottom. You see a car on sale, you're like, man, that's a really good deal. That looks like it's in mint shape. And then you see the inside and it's trash. Well, the price starts to make sense now. The pricing is trash after the way they started with Scotty. So it is what it is, but everyone works with the same stuff. That's the good news. Let's see what SaberSim does when it comes up. Is there anything else that stood out, Hoop, that you want to talk about? Or maybe like those balanced lineups? I want to say one more thing, actually, that goes with the balanced lineups, and I'll let you rebuttal it. Balanced lineups actually have done okay at U.S. Opens in the past, because at the U.S. Open, you get the old guys, the amateurs, and the qualifiers down low, like the dentist that's going to tee off the first shot and shit. Like, these guys just get in naturally because there's certain qualifiers for all these different areas. So it used to be that, like, if you had, this is back in the day more, I'm dating myself, but like Brooks Koepka, when he was crushing these majors, he was expensive. There was the time when Gary Woodland beat him at Pebble, and it was like, it almost, even if Brooks had won that year, he probably wasn't needed, which is insane in a PGA DFS event, but it was because nothing else came with him, and the pricing was so hard to get Brooks with good golfers that it made sense to build balanced. Here, you can build balanced to be contrarian, but you don't need to build balanced if you're good with Scotty. It's kind of my take. What's your thoughts on these balanced builds outside of the fact they should get you somewhat unique?
That was my favorite part about the majors, even last year or the year before, when it came to DraftKings pricing, because you had so many guys in the 9K and the 8K range that had legitimate chances to go out and win the golf tournament. There were so many options. You still had the guys up top that looked nice, but man, Cantlay was rolling. You'd always get like Victor Hovland in a good spot. Like, there were so many dudes. Matsuyama a lot of times was in the 9 or 8K. So many dudes you could play in the 9 and the 8K range that it made it fun for roster construction. I don't see the fun in roster construction this week because in my eyes, I think the balance build is absolutely dead. I mean, I think you are dead on arrival if you're building a balance build this week. I just can't imagine starting in some of these ranges, the lower 9s or the upper 8s. And you really can't because there's only a few guys you can play there. So you're going to have, if you do go balance, you're going to have the exact same team as everyone else. There's like literally no way to go about it. So I think the balance builds are probably the worst thing you can do this week.
Yeah, and to be clear, I love that last point. The latter of everything you said is that even if you're trying to go that route, someone are like, well, I'll go Bryson with Fleetwood. Like, yeah, kind of balanced, but not really, because you have 11K Bryson in there as the Scotty killer in your lineups. You're clearly factoring in, whether you know it or not, that Bryson is the Scotty beater, and therefore Scotty's not needed. And then you got Fleetwood, and you get a little more balanced from there by not using those guys in the bottom. But I just think there's so many ways you can go, and you just have to look at that giant 6K range this week as basically the 7K range that we had last week. And last week, Rory sucked and didn't work out. But Rory with the 7s, you could get Rory and then plug him in with 5 7K guys all under 10% easily because there was like 47K guys. Here, you can get Scotty at whatever ownership he is, have still some 7K guys and the 6Ks with him, and get all guys under 10% just fine. And you'd still have full leverage on your Scotty lineups.
Yeah, it's bad all around. And then, I mean, then you factor in the conversations that we had, I believe it was last week too, where like these tier 2 golfers are just so much worse than they were last year. Like those, like I said it, like the Hovlands, Cantlays of the world, Matsuyamas of the world. Like there's no like tier 2. It's the top end guys. Well, it's Scotty, and then the rest of the top end guys, and then like just a bunch of guys that can't win golf tournaments, man. It just, I don't know. I think the combination of what they did with the pricing, you combine that with the fact that these tier 2 guys are just not what they once were. It's just, I guess to relate it back to roster construction, like the balance build, I think it's just so bad this week. I just don't see a lot of guys that can win the US Open this year. I think there may be like 4 or 5 guys that actually have a chance of winning.
Yeah, let's go to Sabre. Do you want to pull that up? And while you're doing that, I'll just sort of run through the chat a little bit and see what we're at. I like Shaloub's comment there. Said Bryson going to be the chalkiest Bryson will ever see, but then added off fall on the sword and play that piece of shit bitch Rory for all of you. There is like a bit of a sentiment inside, if you're on X or Twitter, DFS version of following some of the people on there that, some of the people that others would assume are sharper are just immediately wanting to jump on Rory at low ownership because they don't factor in that he's been playing bad. There's a ton of negative sentiment, not just the bad press of not doing the interviews, the bad play at the RBC Canadian Open, the driver stuff I thought, I heard he shot an 81 there the other day. Someone just tagged us in beforehand. I heard that one. So I think there's like a ton of factors that are saying that Rory's not going to be good here, but I don't know if people will stick to it. Obviously, Bryson and Scheffler will be super popular around him, but I think you could still see Rory get 15 to 20. It's not like something no ownership, right? So we'll see. What do you got up there now? Let's just see what you're pulling up here to start us off.
Yeah, so I ran 1,000 teams. Changed the salary to 49,100, so willing to leave at least 900 on the table. Ran it, and then I have it sorted by projection right now, and only getting 18% Scotty. I think that's somewhat interesting. So when I see that, I was like, all right, let me look at the projections. He's still 10 fantasy points higher than the next guy, which is Bryson, but based on projected points, SaberSim's liking the $3,400 discount for Bryson, as you see here, 78% ownership on our 150 teams, no Xander, and then a lot of John Rahm, and that's probably just a product of the projection. We are using our projections here, so our initial run at projections and our ownership. The reason why we're getting a bunch of John Rahm and no Xander Schauffele is because the 6-point projection difference between the two. So anytime you're using projected score, it's obviously going to be easy to tie it to, why are we getting a bunch of this guy and not that guy? But regardless, I mean, it's showing, not as much Scotty as I anticipated. When we go through, and we'll change it, we'll do it Sabre score. Maybe we'll run a contest simulation as well, just to see how some of these teams look different. It's kind of what we did last week, and I really like the format. I think it's really important for people to kind of see all the different ways to build teams. But Yeah, I mean, the main thing that definitely stands out, even though there's a 10 fantasy point difference in projection, not a ton of Scotty, but almost 100% Bryson, 77.3%. He's on 116 of our teams.
Do you think there's any possibility that the ownership flips on Bryson and Scotty based on, just running it this way and then just seeing it as the week goes on and people thinking about it more? Like, do you think there's a chance that Scotty comes down closer to, I don't know what we have Matt right now, I think 28% or something like that? Or no, we got him at 33.
33, 26. I think it ends up probably being pretty close. Yeah, I think it's probably 30 would be my guess. I mean, that would be my guess without, digging super deep. I think it's going to be close. People are going to definitely jam in Scotty when they can. I mean, the dude has been absolutely incredible. I mean, he's just on a different level right now. And then I think everyone just saw that separation, the how bad Rory's been playing and how much better Scotty's been playing, and people are just going to make sure to get his ass in there regardless. So I think it ends up pretty close. Probably, yeah, like you said, both around 30% would be my guess. Maybe they're both around 33. Who knows? It's easy to get these guys in. I mean, it's definitely easy to build them. And Bryson's the one that a lot of people are going to be excited to play for sure this week. And I think it's whatever the number is. If it's 30, 33, I think it's probably close between the two.
And great point too, though. What you said there is like Scotty could stay what we have him projected at. Bryson could just come up to him because it's that easy to get to it. When you get a set, go over to like lineup number 1, for example, in this, because you've got this by projected score, right? It shows in the top right corner. Yeah. Can you scroll it over anymore? Because just with our overlay, it cuts it off a little bit. Can you see the ownership on that side or take it down a notch?
There we go. Oh, it's still not showing. Let's see. Oh, let me open this up a little more. See if this.
If it doesn't,
for some reason it's cutting it. Yeah, I don't know. I have it almost all the way.
The main thing is, though, is you definitely see it, and I can already see it when you like previewed a little bit, is all the ownership on these guys is still super high. And I think that's another thing to bring up right quick, because a lot of people watching this are obviously in it for the big time, the 100K up top and the $5, the 1 million up top and the $25, and then some playing the $200 single entry, all that. To be honest, they're all, the MME ones I talked about, the 5 and the 25 are super top heavy. And then even the $200 with 100K up top is a nicer structure for sure in a smaller field, but you're playing against the bigger single entry field than you're used to. So one of the things is you are going to need to find leverage in there with these guys, like just playing the Scotty with the best 5 guys he fits with that obviously all seem overpriced. You'll end up getting a solid, 4-6 or 5-6 in most cases. Ownership and chalk, I should say, has done better at the U.S. Open in the past, mainly because it's a course fit thing. It's these courses are really tough, really long, long rough, hard shots, scrambling, everything. You need to complete game. You can't fake it around the U.S. Open. You hear people say that a million times this week, but it's true. And so, yes, the chalk has done typically better at the Masters, where course history plays a factor, U.S. Open, where we kind of know the mold of what you're looking for, but there's always going to be some leverage plays in there, and I'm still going to be building for that. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these. When you go by projected score hoop, you're seeing, I think I see over 100%.
Yeah, that's 103. Yeah, the first one's 103. I came back and I sorted over here by exposure, and like this is the main problem with the pricing this week. Like, okay, you see we got a lot of Bryson. We got Neiman's popping up as a solid play based on our projections, 8,600. Last major, he was at 9,500 or somewhere right around there. John Rahm obviously at 10-2. That's a very fair price tag.
After Rahm, I gotta go. Look at this crew after Rahm.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Lowry, Sepp, Burns, Pendrith, and McIntyre, and the highest price is 7,800.
That's what I'm saying. These are 8K guys. Like Lowry and Sepp Straka, the way they've been playing, are 8K guys. Corey Connors should be $1,000 more. Sam Burns has been playing really well. 7,100 for him. That's why Scotty and Bryson and John Rahm and probably Xander are all going to get substantial ownership because it's just easy to do it. But then it's like, okay, how do you get different from that is the big question. I don't think going balanced is the answer to that question. I don't think going balanced is the answer. Even if you don't think it's going to be one of those guys up top, it's like you're going to have the same team as everyone else by going balanced. So the main thing to me is going to be like, who are some of these guys that look really underpriced that are going to come in somewhat low on? Like we know Lowry and Sepp Straka are going to get a lot of ownership. They've been playing well. They're probably $1,000 too cheap. Is it Hatton? Is it Spieth? Is it Cam Smith? Is it Minwoo Lee? Like, I think you really got to find guys in the 7s and the 6s that are going a little overlooked on some of these Bryson teams, on some of these Scotty teams, maybe even some of these John Rahm teams. You got to find something a little different down there, I think, is the way to get different. I don't think it's going to be, okay, well, I'm not going to play Scotty or Bryson or John Rahm or Zan. Because even if you don't like Scotty or Bryson, Xander and John Rahm are going to get a lot of ownership as well, just because Xander always does well at the U.S. Opens. John Rahm has been playing a little bit better and is a cheap price tag. So it's not like you can make the pivots up here to get different unless you really like Rory, who I do think has a chance to be held in check. It's just, there's just not a lot of ways. And to me, it's like find the dudes in the 7 and the 6s that could potentially be low owned.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to work out, only because that's too much. Like, your decision is between those two. You can definitely do it, but I'm saying you got to get that right, the duo plus the stuff down below. So I'm not saying don't do it, but maybe you commit to it. If you're going to do a 20 max this week and play the $5, maybe in the 20 max you do something aggressive and just say forget it. This is going to be it. I'm trying it. If it works, it works, and I'll have all my lineups geared towards that. It's just really tricky to see it play out that way. People talking about Lowry in 2016 when they played at Oakmont. So interesting there. But I will say, before you change it to Sabre Score, I'll use this quick marketing for 2 seconds. So one is the promotion, because what we're about to show you, I think this is key, and we want people to be able to try this out. And I'm going to show you how, even if you only have the base core plan with us with SaberSim, which is unique to us, like it's a couple other places, but you don't see it very often. They don't have it on their own site. For $24 for the first month, that's less than we charge for just PGA only. You can get all access to all sports, and you get SaberSim Core. If you don't know what that is, I'll put it up here really quickly. We'll get the marketing out of the way fast today. It is the second column where you'll see you get all the Ship It Nation content. So all 8 sports that we cover, obviously not all are going on. You get the Stone, you get the slate plan, you get our premium Discord, which is a gem. It's a place to be. If you haven't heard people talk about it, they'll let you know. It's definitely the best Discord out there. If you go to SaberSim, though, you get late swap for the sports that require it, and you can build a 250 lineup pool that you can take 150 lineups from. And I'm about to show you in a second why I think this is so important and worth just checking out. It's $24. You get a whole month, be able to put it in there. But can you change it to Sabre Score for a second, Hoop?
And one thing I did want to add on, I know a lot of people are like, a lot of people will wait for NFL to come around before they commit to where they want to go. Like, now it's the cheapest to get in. Obviously, we have a lot of deals to get people on different packages over the course of the summer as well. So like, now is the time to get in at a cheap rate, get used to how we do things, get used to SaberSim rolling into NFL season. So even if you're not like a huge PGA person, but you're going to be here for NFL, get in now, get in with our community, get used to the people, get used to our Discord. And again, we're always working out deals leading into NFL for our current members as well. So make sure to get in now. So I'll switch over to Sabre Square. I just wanted to add that on there.
Oh, I love that. And before you keep rolling, and I go in my spiel here on what you're about to do, GoFi is exactly correct. And I don't know which way you mean it, but I'm flipping it to my own way to tell you, this is why Hoop and I harp on this show every week. There's a dozen shows you can go watch for picks and plays. Nobody knows shit. Nobody knows the picks. Some people hit it right sometimes. They hit a 60-1 winner in betting, but they got a 12-man card. They won 3-1 on a 60-1 winner. Like, I don't care. I'm not being rude. I'm just explaining it. All we talk about is DFS, playing the game and focusing on how to play and what you're going up against and process and thinking about how to beat the field, because that's what truly matters. No one knows. The winning golfers matter on your lineup that made the winning lineup, but you only care about that when you got there. That's why the best players, and I've interviewed plenty of them, will say like my guy, who was I talking to just recently, actually? The Mish. The Mish has little pieces on his wall of memorabilia of guys that helped him win tournaments. He didn't know what that memorabilia was going to be until the tournament was won. He built the lineups accordingly. The results played out. Those were the picks that ended up winning him the money, but they weren't his picks. He built his portfolio, had lineups go that way, and that's what this is about. So, Hoop, you've switched it now. If you're on Golf Main 50K plus, can you click that just to show people for a second? And you go to Sabre Score. So that's the maximum one. And I want to bring this up quickly just because I was telling somebody about this the other day too, is a lot of people are in a tournament with 35,000 people and they think, let me just go to the one below that. I think there's no real major difference in 35K or 50K. It's when it's like 1,300 and 50K, there's a massive difference, and lineup selection becomes more important even than you've already done your contest selection, but then you have to sort of pick a lineup that suits that tournament. This is what SaberSim does for you, but I got no problem if the tournament has 35 or 39,000 people in looking for a little bit of extra leverage, because you saw, and our guys have helped us out in the past, showed off the formula that's built in. But now if you go to the top, what is our high? So the top lineup there is 304. What's it got? 90 something % in it?
95. So that's like the main difference I'm seeing right out of the gate here. It's a lot of the same guys in terms of the ownership. Everyone, it looks like to be within like 5 to 10 percentage points in exposure, but it's playing the guys differently. And it goes to the point you always make. It's not who you play, it's how you play them. And that is the benefit here of using something like SaberScore opposed to projected score. Projected score was just giving us our highest projected guys, but they're also highly owned. And we're seeing a lot of 100%. I know for some reason it's cutting off on my screen, but this top one is 95%. It was like 105 last time. This one, everything's under 100. We got some stuff in the 80s, 82. And I'm talking total overall ownership. So it's playing the same guys, but it's playing them in a different way, so you're not getting a super, super popular sort of build. But it is the same dudes up here that we just saw popping up at a high level in projected scores. It's just playing them different. I think it goes back to the point that you always make on these shows. Like, you can play these popular guys for sure. If you like Bryson, if you like Neiman, whoever it is, you can play them, but be careful how you play them. And that's what SaberScore definitely assists with.
Bringing Noise is super sharp, always in our Discord helping out and supporting. But it says everyone is playing the same game, but everyone's focused on the picks game, not playing the game, which is what Hoop's showing here. This is what SaberScore does. So that's a high SaberScore. You're like, well, a lot of those names are the chalk, but it's that combination of playing them together. Now, do me a favor, Hoop, find a lineup with like 70% ownership. And it's not about total ownership. I just want to give an example. I think there was one there that had something like there, right?
It's 78. Yeah, this one, number 9. Pendrith, Novak, Hoagie, Bryson, John Rahm, and Morikawa.
So it is only like 10 points off the 305 or whatever we saw earlier, which in golf is nothing. It's 10 points of fantasy points. It's nothing, literally nothing. But it has way less ownership, and the leverage game is 11, 10, 9. You have nobody in the 8s, nobody in the 7s, nobody in the 5s, and no Scotty or Rory. Oh, but I still have Bryson, Rahm. But did people with that combo have Kawa in there? Not likely. We've seen Pendrith and Novak pop up a bunch, but is Hoagie going into those same lineups, or are people selecting between Novak and Hoagie? Well, you can play them both together. So that's a better example to me, where median projection is 10 points. It's literally nothing in golf. Like you said, it doesn't matter. It's just golf picks. It's whatever. But the ownership game and the leverage game and the roster construction game is so much different for you to be able to find your way up the board. And you can look through the lineups like that, and you can even favorite them and star them as you go through. You may find some others that are in the 80s and the 70s, and it's not about the 80s or the 70s. That just tells you it clearly has more leverage built into it than the top projected lineups. But what you'll notice is the projected points are really not that far off. And that's how, even with the basic core package at ShipIt Nation with the SaberSim partnership, can still work to your advantage. This works for every sport, by the way. Baseball is no different. Then people saying, well, do I need the contest sims? What you need to do is you need to try it out first. When you're working out and getting in shape, you don't go buy 40 supplements and all the stuff. Just do it all in one day. I learned this, I learned that. You don't just go jam the deadlift rack and put it at whatever weight and start lifting. You build your way up. Build your way up. It's literally $24 to get in and check it out. But this exercise we just showed you gives you a really good idea of what you can do and how to use it to your advantage in playing the game, and not focusing on the picks as much as the roster construction, what the field's doing, the dry run versus the SaberScore, where that exposure lines up the same, and where you might find it different. Another quick exercise, Hoop, and then I'll let you go. Sort just by salary. Forget exposure for a second like I always do. Just go to the left and go sort by salary. I love that you brought my exposure tab over for me. I did need that.
Always. It's funny because when I actually go usually I build my teams on Wednesday. I was like, shit, where's my exposure tab? And I got to bring it all. I was like, all right, got to make Tambo happy on the shows and make sure it's on the left. But when I go to build my teams, I make sure I get it back over there on the right.
Yeah, I like, again, you can do it both ways, but I'm usually starting here because I spend a lot of time with my pre-search, if you will, like going through this first. And one of the things I like to look at, and it's funny, you talked about hating on Rory for talking on both sides of his mouth. I have to kind of agree lately the way it's been, but your boy JT was a double side talker, like not side of the kids thing, and then all of a sudden saying we need to be about the kids. But the minute he flipped to the good side, the devil to the angel on his shoulder, he started winning again. And what I look at is a guy like JT here. It's not about JT. It's just that what I'm looking at is it's saying he's decent. It wants to give you like 10%. It's just not committing. But sometimes when you can find a guy where you're like, well, it likes him, he's doing fine. He could definitely be in the mix here at this tournament. It's like, I'll look for that as some angles in, because clearly he's still projecting good enough. His price is at a unique spot where most will be on Fleetwood or Neiman, if not going above. But maybe you find somebody like him, and you can do that all the way down the board. Where is it telling you these might be good options? But if it's not committing you to them, it's probably not committing others to them, but it's agreeing that they have to be somewhat okay. I don't know if you have further thoughts on that, but just something I wanted to throw out there. A couple exercises I like to do.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point, because there's something in here where they're liking, someone like him a little bit. They're going to in 15 out of 150 teams, 10%. But it's not like fully going in. It's not about the play. It's not about JT. It's about, this number right here, this 10%. And, these are situations that I might look to make a play on. Like, all right, is JT decent enough? If I feel good with him, I'm going to bump. I don't particularly love him this week just because of where he's at, but that doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about this number, and it can be an indicator of something to potentially make a play on.
Yeah, I'm always talking about the gym. We got all the equipment. We got the nice trainers. We got the good people. It's a friendly over at SHIPIT Nation. But
man, if I was looking like Jordan, I'd be telling everyone to work out. I mean, he's already got it locked. He's already got that shit locked down.
Yeah,
dude's ripped.
Brian D had a question. He said it might be dumb. No dumb questions. Let's roll it. I mean, I will say this. I'm a big realist. There is dumb questions in this world, but I like to be friendly on these and go with it. And let's hear what it is. It says, if I have a $750 bankroll to play, should I max the $5 or do the $3 max, $10 18 max, and then like 60 entries? This is going to be more personal, but go ahead. Like more personal preference, but go ahead.
Well, really, to me, it's what you feel comfortable with. Like, do you want to just make one set of teams and focus all week on that 150? And are you comfortable doing 150? I'd probably go that route. For me personally, I like building one set of teams if I can. Like if I know I'm feel good about the 150, the contests are looking good, I'll just focus on that one build all week and make sure I'm fully locked in on that build and go with that, opposed to multiple sets. It depends, again, how you like to play. So for me personally, I just, focus on the one build, the 150, and make sure it's fully locked in. But, if you feel good about splitting it up a little bit, it gives you more opportunities to win. So maybe go with the other route where you're in multiple contests and you have, different variations of teams. So for me personally, I like focusing on one build per site and just honing it in and focusing on that. But if you're fine building multiple builds, and I have a feeling Tambo is going to be on the opposite of me, because I know he does a lot of different sorts of builds and sets, wave stacks, that sort of thing. So he's probably going to say go the other route. But for me personally, the way I play, I like focusing on one.
One thing I've learned is and I think it's obvious, but just to say it, because everyone's here watching or any watching it back, we appreciate all the support. But I will say everybody's game is different. And, one of the things I know I mentioned earlier, we got the celebration stream tomorrow night for our guy, James. But I mean, one of the biggest things he harped on, I think it was so solid for anybody from beginner all the way to advanced, was you kind of got to figure out what you want to do first based on your player pool. Like, look at the pool. If you see 50 guys that you like, you might want to spread it out and play some more line. How are you going to play? I love 50 guys this week. It's so hard to pick a lineup. But wait a minute. Let me go load up the $200 single entry because it says $200 and $100K up top. Does that really add up? I don't know. Like, to me, it doesn't, but I get it. Like, people say, but I'd still rather play less people. It's a more balanced structure. But you just said you got to get from 50 down to 6. That's not easy to do, and you're going to have a ton of regret. It's going to be hard to be right when it comes to that. So I think that's a main thing as well, is just to think about that when you're looking at it. What everybody does is different, right? So yeah, somebody asked there, Hoop, I don't know if you want to pull up the comment, but the new code is US Open. You can use it if he takes it down for 2 seconds. It's under US Open. So it's for this event. It's $24 for your first month to get in and check everything out. So you can use that.
That's our guy Danny from NFL season, man, is Vikings, remember?
Detroit Lions versus what? The Vikings?
Vikings, yeah.
Yeah. Danny, my man.
I shit on his Vikings week 1, and they went on an absolute heater, and ended up working out pretty well for the Lions in the long run, but that was our guy.
Sport though, man, all season. Love that guy. Would take ownership when he was wrong. Love to talk shit. That's what we like here, man. That's our thing. So certainly like that. Jason says, I've had core package only from day one. Love to see it, Jason. I know you're always shouting us out and congratulating everybody on X over at SHIPIT Nation. So we appreciate that. He says, I love how it helps me better my process. There's always little things you can pick up on. That's certainly key. Definitely Novak 63, guys like Burns at 71, Connors at 73. These
can't even. I was just thinking, I was like, maybe because a lot of people, like using that term now, like most disrespectful price tag. We can't even do it this week, man. I mean, the list would be too long. There's no way I could pick one guy having the most disrespectful price tag on the slate. It'd be like 20 guys.
I think there's like one per range though. Like clearly up top, it's Bryson, even though because Scotty's priced fairly, Rory's a bit weird the other way. And, most are going to favor Bryson over Rahm, $3,400 discount. I think the projections and like Data Golf and those places, they most certainly think Neiman is being disrespected because of his 4 live wins or whatever this year. Like you look at that. And then guys like Connors and Burns, Straka, Lowry, the 7Ks are loaded with disrespectful.
Yeah, those 4 for sure. That's bad.
Yeah, and then definitely the lower you get, Novak certainly pops up as one down there at just 6,300. But it's always tough to say. Do me a favor. I wanted you now to show, even in these Sabre Score lineups, those 10 JT lineups. Click just the plus sign so we can see the JT ones. And are any starting with JT, or does every single one come up over the top? I'm guessing they come up over the top.
Got Rahm over the top, got Scotty over the top, got Rahm, Bryson, Scheffler. And by, just to clarify, if people are unclear with what that term means, basically, is there another guy more expensive than Justin Thomas in this lineup, or any of these teams starting with Justin Thomas? And the first 4 are a no. Bryson in here, so that's no. Rahm, a no. Bryson and Rahm. Bryson, the answer is going to be no, I'm guessing. I guess there's only 15 teams, so we can continue just to verify. Yeah, and the answer is definitely no. I went through every single one, and nothing starts with just. And I personally think that is the right approach. Like starting in the 9Ks, I think is a massive mistake this week. Massive.
It just proves. I know, like you said, it's already tough to do anyway, but that's really what our show is always about. It's not that each guy in each range will do some of that near the end usually, but for right now, that just proves it. That's another thing that this does for you, kind of like how Jason mentioned it earlier, of just helping his process, being able to use it, look at it. That's what I like to look at, Hoop. Like, okay, if I was going this route, would it even ever want this any other way? And really, over all those lineups, you did 5,000 lineups, and obviously there's probably
1,000 here, but same
you did 1,000 here, and you only brought up 50 of them. But my point is, in the 10 that it's giving us with JT, it's not going to start with JT at balance. What about Morikawa? Do the same thing real quick with Morikawa, because there's only a few with him too. You can kind of scroll through fast. Any at all when you quickly scroll through that don't have an 11? You'll just see if there's another 5-figure guy. It looks like it pretty easy. Yeah.
The answer is no.
So I think it's going to be wrong. I think it'll be wrong where it starts.
Here's one. So Morikawa, Ludwig, and Fleetwood pretty much avoids. I mean, you got Patrick Reed 6,900 and Siwoo Kim 6. That's like 7,000. So it avoids the 6K range. It's pretty balanced. So just one there. Let's pull up Rahm. There's going to be more teams, I think, because we got what percentage of Rahm? Yeah, so we got like 40% Rahm. So we'll look at some of these top ones and see if most start. So we got one over the top with Bryson. This is one that starts with him. So 1 out of 4 starts with Rahm over the top. It just goes to show you how soft the salary. I mean, look at this one. I mean, you got Bryson, Rahm, and just like, who gives a shit about how these guys are playing? But like, look at the names with them: Bryson, Rahm, Siwoo Kim, Matsuyama, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Robert McIntyre. So no complete shitheads in this lineup. Like no shitters in here. I mean, these are all legitimate guys. and you still get Rahm and Bryson. Like, you still get John Rahm and Bryson, and you don't have to play like some random 5K guy that you've never heard it before. That's the problem with this. I guess the good thing is there's so much of it. There's like so many 7K guys that look really good. There's so many 6K guys that look really good, where it probably does have to get spread out a little bit. You know, it definitely does. But for roster construction, you're just going to see a lot of the same stuff.
We're going back to NFL season here with this real quick, but I'm just, what did we do? I forget what we even called this, but I'm just curious what the chat thinks. I'm going to pop this one up. This is the 2v2.
That's a legit question there.
Let us know your side in the chat if you're choosing. This is the 2v2. The Bobby Mack side leaves $100 left over, which could be like burger, for example. If you're, Daniel, how's your burger? Shout out to my guy Mayo. I'm just curious. 1 or 2. 1 is Scotty and Bobby Mack. A 2 is Bryson Rahm. It takes 2 seconds to type in. And I'm just curious what side the field would be on, what they'd prefer to have, because this is shaping out.
People are going to act tough and say they're going to go Scotty and Bobby Mack. Like, they're going to talk that game right now. But if you legit had that 2v2, I would say 90% of people are going with Bryson and Rahm. They might talk like they're going to go the Scotty side.
Your boy, Jordan talks the talk and walks the walk.
Everyone's going it. So be honest here. People are going to try to pretend like they're going to play one. I don't think so, man. If you are building a lineup and you have Scotty and Bobby Mack, and you look and you say, man, I can just go Bryson and Rahm, I would say it's like 80% are going to go Bryson and Rahm.
Yeah. So what are this is a better way to frame it than now that people are putting their answers in the chat and throwing them in. We appreciate that. If you could do us a favor, like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel as we keep growing, heading towards NFL season. We certainly appreciate it. But if everybody knows this is what throws people off at the end of the week, right? Hoop, I know it's Tuesday here, Tuesday afternoon. People have tons of time left. We're not building our lineups till Wednesday nights, et cetera, et cetera. If people are building their single entry and now they're like, damn, Hoop and Tambo put that in my head, what are some other things they're looking for, like we talked about earlier, from a leverage standpoint to help make this decision? Like, what one would pop for you, or what would you be looking at in the lineup to help make this decision outside of it? Because I think some people will just naturally go with Rahm Bryson, but that should be more popular as well.
Yeah. So I think we had the conversation last week, and I'm so bad at remembering exactly who the players are and whatnot. But I guess like when people are hand building, right? I guess is the point I'm trying to make. When people are hand building, they're probably gonna go the Bryson Rahm route. When they use an optimizer, I don't know. I guess they probably still will go the Bryson Rahm route. So how does that? I think the main point, like, how does that relate to ownership this week, right? Like, is there a chance that Scotty's ownership is lower than we're thinking? I mean, I initially thought no matter what, Scotty was going to be very highly owned. I do think he gets some, but is there a chance it comes down a little bit, because we did it with the optimizer, right? We ran the teams with the optimizer. It likes going the Bryson, John Rahm route.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at hand builds. People are going to go with the Bryson Rahm route over Scotty and Bobby Mack. So I think if you are going to play Scotty this week, if you're using an optimizer, you're probably going to have to force him a little bit. If you're hand building, it's going to look a little uglier. So I guess the question I'll throw back to you, because I don't know if I necessarily answered your question, but it's just the way it's the way I think about things. Is there any chance this brings Scotty down to like the mid-20s or something?
I don't know about that low, but it's why I asked you off the top, because this just solidifies even further, because there's another little wrinkle here as well to answer your question without answering it the same way you did mine, is that Bryson and Rahm can easily be played with Bobby Mack. So you can slide Bobby Mack over into those and make it a 3-way, and then you still have 3 spots left that you can fit Neiman, you can fit Burns, you can fit whoever. So it just makes me think more about it, that when I'm going the Scotty Bobby Mack side, I'm still looking to just build for a different roster construction more than I am of. So for example, in that, go to Bobby Mack lineups right now on this. You could just use the plus sign. That's a nice thing. You can see what does some Bobby Mack lineups look like, because we're getting a ton of them. And go to the top by Sabre. And that's our best Sabre score one, is a Bryson, Morikawa, Neiman, Connors, Bobby Mack, Pendrith. Like, look at that team. The second one is right there. Bryson, Rahm, Mack, Finau, Connors, and Ben Griffin, buddy. Like, it's in the 8. Is that in the 80s for ownership?
88. Yeah, 88.
Yeah, and it still has a 303 almost projection versus the 305 we looked at earlier. So,
and then like you look over here at the exposures in these Bobby Mack lineups, and it's like 40% Scotty, 40% Bryson. You're getting a bunch of Xander. You're getting a bunch of John Rahm. So, any sort of popular value play is going to have something up top. Popular cheap guy, I should say, is going to have something up top. If you're just running teams like that.
Saber score that we're using right now, that's another thing that's not going to be the same for everybody. It's to your advantage. Is Xander, if you notice, like Xander, Cantlay, Oberg, all those guys were double digits with Bobby Mack. That's because Saber Score knows to find some of those lower owned studs up top to mix them in with your Bobby Macks. And that was really going to be my main point, is if you're going Scotty Bobby Mack instead of Bryson Rahm, I think you need to start looking at some of that stuff, like taking the risk on an Oberg or something like that, where most would have Kawa in it or something different there versus another spot, because you want kind of a lower owned option up there to pair in with the popular combination if you're already moving off the extremely popular Bryson Rahm starting point. Because Bryson Rahm, I would almost want to make sure, like, again, I'm not going to particularly get exactly this because I don't know where I'm at yet, but I'm saying I wouldn't really want to be Bryson, Rahm, Bobby Mack, Connors, all of them, even though it is how you play them. That's playing that combination pretty chalky. Like for these tournaments this week, the $5 and the $25, I want more leverage in there for sure.
Yeah. And again, there is so many guys, and I think that's the main way to differentiate this week is to look not necessarily up top. Like those guys are getting owned. There's no way to avoid it. If you like these guys up top, you just got to play them. The only opportunity I think up top could lie with Rory. Like, I think he probably has to get squeezed a little bit here based on the price and based how poorly he's played. We have him at 12%. Saber has him at 8%. If you like him, you got an opportunity with Rory. Don't just play him 10% if you really like him. Get way over the field. But I really do think the opportunity in roster construction is when you get down here into the 7s and the 8s. If you are playing Bryson, if you are playing John Rahm, who should be popular, if you are playing Scotty, we know who these popular guys are going to be. Lowry, Sepp Straka, Corey Connors, Sam Burns in the 7K range. You got to sell yourself on something else in this range if you're hand building. Like obviously if you're playing 150, you can get a bunch of different combinations and make it all work. But if you are hand building or building 3 lineups, you got to look for some of these pivots. Is it Hatton? Is it Spieth? Is it Keegan? And you can probably even say, is it maybe Henley, who's going to be lower than those core 4? Come in the 6K range, there's going to be guys that are popular, and we pull over ownership just so we can kind of match it up with these guys down here. Harris English has shown his popular. So maybe it's not as important in the 7K range or in the 6K range as it is in the 7s. Now that I'm looking at this, it looks like it does get spread out. Cam Young has a pretty big number. McIntyre has a pretty big number. Harrison, but it's not a crazy high number. So I think the real opportunity is probably in the 7K range. And just know that what are the numbers we have? Because 20% on Lowry, 20% on Straka. I'm rounding up here. Connors, I think, is going to be more higher owned than the 12%. And then the last name was Sam Burns. Yeah, Sam Burns is definitely going to be more than this. He's going to probably be closer to 15. Those are the 4. So be careful, like with those pairings and combinations. You don't want 4 super popular guys in there. And again, if you are with us and you don't have Saber, this is the prime example of why you get Saber, because you're going to build those teams. And if I ran contest sims, it would take it a step further where you're going to eliminate those popular combinations all on your own. You don't have to do it. I always talk about it. If I go in hand build, I struggle with that because I like these guys. I like Lowry. I like Straka. I like Sam Burns. I like Corey Connors, and I like the guys up top. So like, I'm not smart enough in my head to do it on my own. But with Saber Sim, it kind of just does it for you, which is very, very nice and gives you some opportunity. That's probably the reason I've had success in PGA the last 3 weeks. I've had very live teams at the end. I'm getting better with just letting Saber take the wheel and do its thing. Yes, I put my input in. Yes, I get certain exposures on certain guys, but this tool is much smarter than me when it comes to building teams, and I'm starting to learn that.
That's why I want to add on real quick at the end. That's the part where, again, I do so as much as we get great comments about this show. I have people that still bitch and complain. They say, "Oh, you guys didn't talk enough about the tiers. You didn't give me any of these sleeper Euros and all this shit." It's like, listen, you can apply your own pool and thoughts to everything we're saying. We're talking about strategy and building. When you go through and build your player pool with this optimizer or whatever one you got, or your own head, whatever you want to do, take all those other shows and content you watched of the picks and build accordingly to what we showed you or taught you this way. But this is the focus here. We don't need all those picks. There's some great questions I want to go through quickly here as we're wrapping up, but hypothetically, could you do, if it wouldn't take too long, could you hypothetically do 3 sets of 150 builds, and how can you enter them without them overriding each other? I know, Hoop, you just had a great week where you won $70K or something total across the 3 tournaments, because the $50K in the big one and then another 6, 9 or something like that. You ran the same set. Somebody asked me about this earlier in the week as well. What was your, what's your take on that versus what Ryan is asking right here?
For me personally, like, I know Faber can definitely take it to the next level where they're saying, all right, you're putting 150 in the lottery, but this other 150, you want your teams a little different. For me, you got to find what works for you best. Honestly, that's the main thing. But for me, I just build 150 teams. Like I use the contest sims here. I select the main tournaments. I'll select the main $25 million when I build my 150, and I'll put that into all my 150. But if you want to do different sets, Saber Sim will break it up for you and just enter those teams for you on your own. For me personally, I don't go about doing it that way, but you can definitely do it. And the easiest way would definitely be to do it through Saber, not trying to manage it on your own.
I was going to answer the former of his question. If it wouldn't take too long, it most certainly wouldn't. What you do on Saber is you upload your exact contests first. And if you just want to put the same in all of them, you can. But if you want to separate it, again, the further your package goes, but even with core, you can set it up with your Saber score being different based on the field size that you're in. Like Hoop adjusted it to 50K plus. You could run that different ways and then enter them that way. But in reality, contest sims would enter it directly for whatever tournament you're playing in, and then you could move it across from there. This question keeps coming up, and even our guy Ricardo too. Shout out to Ricardo, obviously amazing player, amazing person. Mentions English is going to be steamy as AF. You know me and the swearing, but how much steam is English going to get? James asked as well. He does have great U.S. Open history. He's the same price as Bobby Mack. I tend to still think that Bobby Mack, Pendrith, and English will all be in sort of the same. I think they're all going to get steam in that 6K range. That'll be kind of the trio that I'm expecting is higher owned.
I'm a little less worried about the 6K range than I am the 7K range, because I think there's like 4 distinct guys in the 7K range that we talked about. I'll hit them one more time because I think you and I had the same list of guys. It was Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, Corey Connors, and Sam Burns. To me, all those guys are going to get substantial ownership, and I think it could potentially go up. In the 6K range, I think there's so many guys that people view as viable plays where it has to get spread out. I mean, you can start at the top, like Patrick Reed, Siwoo Kim, Daniel Berger has fallen off a little bit. People have been good playing him. Ryan Fox is on like a heater. Talked about Harris English. People view Akshay as playable. People view McIntyre, Adam Scott, Denny McCarthy, JT Poston, Cameron Young, Benyon, Taylor Pendrith, Grazerman, Dietrich, Aaron Rye, Seabaz. There's Andrew Novak. So many guys down here where it just has to get spread out. So I'm not worried about what happens with Harris English. Maybe it goes up a point or two, but I can't imagine anyone in this range getting to a point where it's like, okay, now I can't play them.
Yeah, and remember too, Ricardo, Kenny, Shaloub, all of our guys in the community that crush at the highest levels, they're playing the highest stakes. Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ricardo has to think about that a lot more in a 3K with 100 people.
Yes.
We're talking about a $25 milli maker where even though you may end up correct with English being 10.6, Pendrith could be 9.6, and Bobby Mack could be 10.2, and it's like it's all, whatever. You got to think about that a little bit more for the higher stakes for certain when you're doing that. Andrew says, do you guys ever use Saber like you are? Literally, yes. I'm giving you exactly how I use it for at least the pre-search run of it. Obviously, go more in depth with some of the other stuff and beyond. But do you build a bunch of lineups, then kind of scroll through to see which one you like instead of hand building? Definitely. And he said, whenever I'm hand building, I don't use Saber, but maybe that's a hole, or I call it a leak in process. I like what Jason said. Not this one, because somebody from Live eventually. Well, Bryson wins these tournaments and he's from Live. So Andrew, I always hand build first, and then I go. I think that's a way to at least see if it could be a leak. I know people build baseball lineups, Hoop, and it works same for golf, but I care more about projection. In NBA would be a better example, actually, but just even baseball is another good one, because in baseball you can stack. I can build you an amazing 5-2-1 or a 5-3 with 2 solid pitchers. It makes sense. It correlates. It's perfect. I could go look at that in the projections. I could be off by like 30 points. Same in NBA. Oh, I got all starters in my lineup. I think this is great. You could be like 30 points off the optimal projected lineup in a sport where projections do matter. And clearly your hand build is a leak. You're starting 30 points behind the field. Like in a sport like NBA, it matters a lot more. But don't you think that's a way you should still be looking at this stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, even for like like the 3-max stuff, people I think want to do it their own way. You can still do it your own way within SaberSim, right? Like if I play 3-max still sometimes if I'm playing like the high stakes MLB stuff or something like that, and I still use it just to see. I mean, and am I missing something, or how does it stack up? And for me personally, it's honestly like to get me out of the mindset of playing some of these chalky sort of lineups. I mean, that's the best example I can use and how it works for me personally. Yeah, I definitely agree with what you were saying as well.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to cover on here? I mean, just anything else that stood out?
Yeah, I think we hit on it. I know people do like the tier stuff. I mean, just some quick thoughts. Like I talked about it with Rory up top. I think, if you like Rory this week, it's probably an opportunity. It's the lowest owned. He's probably going to be in this spot, recent play and price. 9K range, I don't love, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know. We didn't talk about him a ton, but like Morikawa, I don't know. I'm just like almost over him. Like I've played him a lot, and it's like, when is the last time you needed Morikawa to win a DFS contest?
Not recently.
Right. And it's been a while, and I just don't know. Like the 9K range rubs me the wrong way. 8K range, I think everyone low own. I mean, there's only a few. Neiman will get some ownership. Fleetwood will. Brooks has to be a tough click. And then like Matsuyama, I haven't really been playing him. We covered the 7s and 6s, I think, quite a bit talking through. I mean, we talked about the 7K range about 10 different occasions and the strategy there. 6K, I just rattled off a ton of guys in play. And then honestly, this week, this is why the 5K range is so annoying, because there's not many guys playable in the 5K range, and it just makes everyone else's prices come down. So we've talked about the 5K. There's just not much down here. I mean, there's guys that I'll probably end up playing, but it falls off quick. The one guy I did play last week and was on my best team, and I will play him again this week, is this Matthew McCarty.
Yeah. So if you'd like a guy down, that's what I said. Well, it doesn't really matter who you're playing as much as who you like out there, what the shows you watch say, and what you feel is good for your player pool. Let that guide you. But that's another thing. When you start with your own player pool, and you can literally turn everybody off in SaberSim, that's what I do, and then build up my player pool of what I'm expecting to use. You can either force it so you get a minimum on everybody and then let SaberSim do its work from there, but that's not really letting it take the wheel. You're kind of letting it just do its own thing, but see what it gives you. And it may tell you that literally on 500 lineups or 250 lineups or 5,000, if you got the ultimate package, it may tell you that, listen, man, your 5K guy, you're going to have to bump his projection if you want to find him, because he ain't going in these lineups. We just don't.
Actually, I did want to see that on our build, to be honest, because we really didn't look at that. Like, who are we getting? Anyone in that range?
Yeah, Goddard is 5,400. So
let's see. So we got a little bit here. Sam Stevens, Jordan L. Smith, and McCarty's coming in at like 3. Goddard, yeah, you said so he's 4.7.
Plus sign Goddard, and we'll end on that. Actually,
that is interesting though. Nothing. We got nothing down here at all. I mean, yeah.
See the lineups with him.
I can tell you what it's going to be. Yeah. This guy or 2 of these guys on basically every single one. Yep. Scotty and Bryson.
There's Scotty and Bryson. But just there's one to note, though, for people. I get that Fox just won a tournament and Spawn, I like him, Vegas, whatever. But you need Scotty and Bryson to get up there at those prices. And then you need Spawn, Vegas, Goddard, and Fox to come through. So
yeah, that's tough.
It's an okay. I mean, it clearly says it's okay to play it. It's fine. I'm just saying it's not going to be. It doesn't go lost to me, or it shouldn't go lost to you on what you require to have happen to get that right. Like that other one, you could kind of sell me on with Dietrich and McCarty and Goddard and those guys. But man, it's a tough scene when you put those two together. For on paper, at least it is. Yeah,
certainly. But yeah, definitely interesting. Not much. We didn't get much in the 5K range. And again, this is Saber Score 50,000 or more entries.
Yeah. If you guys want to check it out, use the code US Open. It's easy. You go to the site. It's when you click Join the Nation, it's the $99 all access core plan. Includes SaberSim. It's all sports, all the major sports that we cover. $24 for a month. It's less than the PGA only for a monthly with Optimizer. So you get this Major. You get, what else is coming up? You get the U.S. Open, the Travelers Champ, the Rocket Mortgage Classic. I think it's the Rocket Classic this year they call it. But anyway, you'll get a bunch. That's just for golf, but you get to use it for all the sports. So you can check it out for the others, check out the education courses, all of that. And then be sure to be here tomorrow evening. We have a fun night planned. Like it says, memories, stories, joy, community. Hoop talked about it earlier. Want this to be a lot more upbeat. If you want to come on and speak or say a few words in James's honor, you can do so. Just reach out to me directly or Hoop and DM us. And tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Lord's time zone, DGen 75 celebration stream. The GoFundMe for DGen is currently up to $25,000, trending to $37,500 with the Splash Sports contest that Hoop showed off earlier. You can check that out on our X account over at SHIPIT Nation. Any final thoughts, Hoop, from you?
Yeah, and the one thing I was going to add, we're not going to do this for everyone, but whoever posted the comment earlier, can't remember the name, you probably have it. Is it Bewald? Whoever said they're going to forego playing this week and donate, reach out, because we'll cover that, man. That was very nice of you to even say this, to think about doing this. We'll shoot you some entries this week. So shoot us a message and we'll cover you. I mean, that's very, very kind of you. We really appreciate it.
He was trying to start, he wants to start a trend. He thinks that's kind of the concept. I have had some people reach out to say, obviously everybody's situation is different, but big guy, we would love to raise as much as humanly possible. So, whatever works best. Bewald also was in the running with us last year for the Fantasy Golf World Championship, and just him and Newlands, a couple others didn't quite make it to the finals, but hopefully this year we can get a different result, Bewald. So shout out to you. Appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow night. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Another major show in the books for Hoop. For myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.